right, those are some of the headlines here. To talk about them with us is Bill McGurn from the Wall Street Journal. Bill is also a Fox News contributor. And, on the Biden cabinet, Bill, that last headline, if for some reason we don't know, and then, the polls are close, so maybe we won't, who won one of these or both of these races in Georgia, that could push it out to, mid-January or something like that. It slows down the new president in getting his cabinet in place. I wonder if it'll change any of the picks that he might put up, although most of them are already public. What do you think?
Well, it could. Because the margin is going to be razor thin for whoever has the Senate majority. So it's going to be a thin margin. And depending on how many votes they have, if the Democrats know that we can get this through if we all stick together, that changes the risk level, right, for nominating someone. And same with the Republicans. If you think that if we hold our team together, we can defeat a nominee, that changes it too. It's also going to be changed by some of these people are going to switch committees around. So, someone that might have been planning on confirming one cabinet pick might end up chairing the hearings for another cabinet pick. So I don't think it's a catastrophe. It probably slows it by 2 or 3 weeks. But, in the end, Senator McConnell has promised that everyone's going to get a vote.
All right, let me talk a little bit about what's happening in Florida as well. It's kind of interesting what happened this afternoon with Governor Ron DeSantis. I want to be clear about what he said in terms of the age limits. The executive order, I should say, that he signed, it's putting an emphasis on people who are 65 and older in the state, not 75. That was the original suggestion. But the executive order he actually signed this afternoon, he says, if you're 65 and older in Florida, now you'll get priority. The CDC had suggested it would be 75 and older after the frontline, the workers. But essentially, he's saying you're a little bit older. We're going to put you ahead of some of these other people who are a little bit younger, even if they're, quote unquote, essential. It does bring up this discussion about how we should do this, or if we even should be arguing so much about how we should do this. What do you think?
Well, I think there are a lot of legitimate ways to debate this. Now the debate seems to be between younger essential workers and older people in nursing homes, for example. But I've heard a colleague of mine argue that actually we should put the emphasis on young people because they're more likely to be the spreaders, right? So if you get them, you can stop the spread. The amazing thing to me is when people pretend there's one answer, it seems to me Ron DeSantis has chosen a legitimate answer. He presides over a state that has a lot more elderly than most other states, right? And he wants to protect them from dying. That's a reasonable choice. And people behaving like there's one answer and it's clear cut. I also think it's good to have a system where that's why we have states. We can try different things and see what's worse. I'm not sure one size fits all for all the states is a wise idea.
Right. And you make an interesting point, is that some states have different or might have different priorities just because of the way their population is made up. And you have a lot of senior citizens in Florida. So you get that population taken care of first. That, theoretically, you're doing more to slow down the spread. So we'll see if it works. And final point on the headlines. We mentioned the stimulus. What's going on, do you think, with the president last night coming in? It surprised well, a lot of people. What he says, well, I want the $2,000. What's going on?
Right. Well, he said the $2,000 before, I think in the summer when he was being blamed for the breakdown in talks with Mrs. Pelosi. He mentioned a figure above $2,000. But look, I'm halfway with him. I'm with him on the idea there's way too much pork and waste in these things. Again, I keep going back to the point we can't say often enough. The real stimulus is the vaccine plus reopening the economy. Everything else is second best. Right. And there's a lot of stuff I would get rid of in both those bills. But at the end, to do it, a couple of days before Christmas, I'm not sure how effective it is. And also, one thing that I do worry about is this puts a lot of pressure on the two Republicans running in Georgia, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. They both voted against the $1,200 figure that was proposed a couple of months ago. And so now if Donald Trump says, I want $2,000, that puts them in a fix. They're going to vote for a $2,000 measure, and they were voting against a $1,200 measure. It puts them in a contrary prediction. Either they stick to what they've done before and vote against it, in which case it riles up the president and so forth, or they go the other way and are accused of hypocrisy by the Democrats. I worry that's a sleeper down there.
It might be. I mean, the president's put them in a tough spot before with the election fight and now with this. So we'll watch. We'll watch Georgia. Everybody will. January 5th. Merry Christmas, Bill. Good to see you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Merry Christmas, Connell.